My 24 female dad is pretty well off and owns multiple properties in both the country I live in as well as back in his home country. Because of this and the fact that my husband and I both have good careers, my sister-in-law has always had a snobby attitude towards us and my side of the family and tries to mooch off of us at any chance she gets. When we go out to eat with my husband's side of the family, we're expected to pay. Christmas and birthday, his side of the family expects good gifts, etc. His sister is currently on her third marriage and has 3 children, all under the age of 10. Her and her husband were looking for a place to host their wedding and approached me about using one of my dad's properties to host it. I was very hesitant at first to help her because of the treatment she has given me in the past. But it's my dad's property after all, so I contacted him to ask about it. He said it's my call, but told me to 1. Have them sign some type of agreement stating that if any damage is done to the house, they are liable. 2. They are going to be charged a reasonable fee to use the house. We both agreed on $1,500, which I believe is very reasonable considering this is a massive house. I told sister-in-law and her husband about this. They asked about a family discount. I told them this was a family discount, and take it or leave it. They signed the agreement and paid. Fast forward 2 days after the wedding, I went over to the house. House is a complete mess. Bed sheets are stained, a vase destroyed, alcohol bottles floating in the pool, etc. I contacted my dad to tell him. He tells me to assess the damage and see how much it is. It was around $1,000 worth of damage. My dad contacts my sister-in-law himself and explains to her the damage and what she owes him. She loses her crap and starts going off about how this is BS. We're family. She shouldn't even be charged in the first place. We're so well off we can happily afford to pay for the damages. If she gives them that money, they won't be able to afford to go on a honeymoon, etc., etc. She then calls me up to harass me and starts calling me a B who thinks she's too good for everyone and says, "It's a wedding, what do you expect? Sorry, my people know how to have a good time." My dad gives her 30 days to pay. She was notified about this. 30 days comes and no payment. So my dad gets his lawyer to contact sister-in-law explaining how she's being taken to court for not paying. Her and my mother-in-law have been contacting my husband non-stop, trying to get him to give her the money. He refuses because he agrees that what she did was irresponsible and wrong. I had to block mother-in-law and sister-in-law after they sent me nasty messages and even tried to show up at my house to talk to me. I feel bad that my husband's relationship with his mom and sister is going to be ruined over $1,000. But I feel like what she did was wrong and she wasn't even sorry about it. Edit. I should also add that my sister-in-law and her husband were given a key to the house to use it and lock it up when they were leaving it. The key was returned to me at my house. The next day I went over to the house, which is when I found the damage. So they left the house in the condition for me to see with no care in the world. Not the a-hole. Your sister-in-law ducked around and she found out. Good life lesson for her. Sucks for your husband, but it also shows him how little regard his family has for him. Not the a-hole. She broke your crap and is expecting you to pay because you have more money than her. I don't care if she is family or not. That is like me straight up crashing my uncle's car he let me borrow because I thought it would be fun, and then saying, whatever, you can afford it. Not the a-hole. Your sister-in-law and her husband signed a contract saying that if anything was damaged, they would pay. And yes, it's a wedding, but no one is that chaotic at a wedding. Good on you and your dad for taking them to court. My ex-wife, 31 female, and I, 29 male, were separated for 1.5 years. As in I moved into my own apartment, we were no longer a couple. She wanted to reconcile, but that wasn't going to happen. The reason we didn't divorce right away was because it would have been too expensive, plus a whole headache to deal with since she was very against it. My girlfriend at the time was just a temp at my work, but we started seeing each other. We fell hard for each other. Then 9 months after, we found out she was pregnant, and that's when I decided to go ahead and file for divorce to be completely cut off from her so I can focus on my family no matter how much it was going to cost. My ex started this whole campaign around that time. Since my girlfriend was pregnant, she created the narrative that I had an affair and left her for the other woman. My parents didn't believe her because obviously they already knew I was living on my own. My sister was the only one who believed her because they were also close friends. We literally met through my sister. She didn't believe me when I said it, then didn't believe my parents thinking they were just trying to cover for my mistake to avoid being seen as the bad guy. This divided us a lot, even if before we weren't in contact. But she was convinced I broke my ex's heart with my cheating. My sister called me a disgusting pig. On one occasion when she met my girlfriend, who was around 7 months pregnant at the time, called her a homewrecker, and how does she feel carrying an affair child? From there, we ceased all contact despite our parents trying to mediate. My son is 2. Girlfriend and I are living together now. Divorce was finalized last year. Now she wants to meet her nephew and apologize. I was still firmly against that. My parents convinced me to at least have one phone conversation. So yeah, she's sorry for how she acted. But that's the narrative, that she doesn't blame my ex for her reaction and is still somewhat on her side because in the end, I'm the one who broke her heart and got someone else pregnant. But apparently is willing to put that aside for my son's sake so they can meet. Oh man, that made me so mad it turned into an argument instead. I hung up on her, so I'm still on my decision to not involve her at all. My parents are telling me to stop being selfish for my son, and it's unfair to keep my sister from her nephew just for wanting to be a loyal friend to my ex. My sister is saying I'm being petty now. I really don't know what to think anymore. It's seriously driving me crazy. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Further, I would have told your parents that their lack of support for me and my feelings and needs is going to cause me to reevaluate our relationship as well. No one is entitled to your child. Not the a-hole. She would definitely tell it to your kid when she's a few years older to make herself look righteous when the kid is ranting to her about how mean you are for whatever normal parenting thing. And then you'd have to deal with the emotional damage to your kid and your relationship with him. She didn't apologize though. She doubled down and excused her behavior. Not the a-hole, until she is willing to be accountable to the both of you. Keep her out. Background. My husband and I met while he was living with his ex. I know it sounds bad, but everything was above board. They had broken up. She was already seeing someone else. I heard her verbally being aggressive to my partner and hooking up with her new partner in the common area, etc. In case anyone thinks I was misled about the nature of their arrangement. Unfortunately, he just didn't have the means to move out immediately, as she was threatening him financially if he left before their lease was up. This was all over 5 years ago. I owned my, now our, place when he moved in, so when we later discovered the next-door neighbor is her new beau's sister, there wasn't much to be done about it, but curse the crappy luck. In the last 5 years, we've moved in together, built a business together, got engaged and married, and have a wonderful relationship. We are now expecting. Haven't heard from or about his ex until yesterday. On to the a-hole moment. Our neighbor is friendly with us and often asks us about the pregnancy in passing. Yesterday, we were letting the dogs out, and she asked about the baby, and I didn't pay attention when two people walked up behind her. I was telling her how it's been going when the woman behind her went ballistic. She told me I was a homewrecker rebound and a bee to flaunt my pregnancy in front of her. When I realized who she was, I pointed out her and my partner were broken up, and presumably the guy with her was neighbor's brother, her boyfriend. So it worked out best for all of us. She said she had been with my partner longer and never got proposed to, and we were just having a baby to make her feel bad. And not my finest moment. I told her that she was crazy if she thought she ever passed our minds when deciding to start a family, and marriage is a love thing, not a time-in thing. Then I walked away while she was still talking. The few mutual friends we have who know her and heard about the run-in have told us we shouldn't have told her we were pregnant. Not that I meant to. And she's really hurt because she hadn't expected my partner to move out or move on. Apparently, she hoped I was just a rebound and she would get back with him. Talked to hubby. He recalls being clear with her he was done, did not love her, and in a relationship with me. I've been told my unkind words to her were really petty and uncalled for because her and her boyfriend don't have a great relationship. And also, neighbor has taken our side, making her relationship with her boyfriend worse. My husband is furious she talked to me that way and is now pissed at the friends who dismissed her behavior. Now I feel like a jerk for causing all this drama by not assuming someone visiting our neighbor may have been her or her boyfriend and not keeping my mouth shut. Am I the a-hole? Edit. My husband and I read through the comments, and a lot of you pointed out that the friends who sided with his ex either likely don't know the full story or maybe aren't really our friends anymore. A lot of you are also right that if they do know the full story and are reacting this way, that perhaps they should not be in our lives. We talked about it and think a mature conversation should be had before my husband makes a decision on the friendships. So my husband decided to reach out to the person he would consider his best friend from those college days, friend group, and they're going to have a conversation after work. Phone, not just Discord. And my husband wants to make sure he knows the full details and our side of the story. And then based on that and the conversation, he is going to make a decision on if this friend group is going to continue to be a part of our lives moving forward, and I will support whatever decision he makes. Not the a-hole. You didn't cause any drama. Please be clear on that. You were having a conversation with your neighbor. She walked into the conversation, and her forgetting the cheating she did while she was with her ex, and then saying in front of her boyfriend, basically that she figured she'd be back with her ex? Like, what the duck? Thank God your husband broke up with her, and I am so glad he found you. It sounds like she's been having people make excuses for her bad behavior for years, and they should be put in their place when they try to do that. Say, no, we are not going to make excuses for her bad behavior. Don't let anyone treat you like this. And then they try to make out that you are the bad guy. You have done absolutely nothing wrong. Not the a-hole. There's no way the drama could have been avoided in my opinion. She was the one who went ballistic on you first, and, presumably, still has feelings for an ex who left years prior. You also couldn't have known the state of her relationship before this incident. Don't like the mutual friends response when it sounds like she was the one that started it. Not the a-hole. It's been 5 years. I honestly feel like Rose in Titanic. It's been 84 years. She needs to move on, and you shouldn't have to censor yourself when your neighbor literally asks you about everything. Those friends that agree with the ex are not your friends either. I, 26 female, and my fiance, 25 male, are getting married next summer. We've been dating since we were 18 and 19, and we both have broken families nowadays. My parents got a divorce when I was 20 because my father cheated on my mom with our neighbor. My mom naturally was devastated, and she had some really rough years after the divorce. During those years, me and my mom grew closer than we've ever been, and now she's one of my best friends. However, I've had very little contact with my father after the divorce. I found his acts unforgettable and disgusting, so I decided not to reach out as much. I haven't asked him for any money since I was 15, but he still sends me some money every now and then. Nothing huge, 200 or 300 euro, about twice a year. I think he does this because he feels guilty. Both of my fiance's parents have remarried, and I've spent quite a lot of time with their new spouses. We're inviting both of my fiance's parents and their new spouses to our wedding. My mom has been dating a new man for a little over 2 years. Both me and my fiance have met him, and he's nice. He makes my mom happy, and that's all that matters to me. My dad continued dating the neighbor after the divorce. I've never spoken to the woman, and neither has my fiance. I've seen her a few times due to her being our neighbor, but I've never said a word to this woman, and she's a complete stranger to me. I also have some hatred and resentment towards her, since she's the reason my parents broke up. I know that it's not completely her fault, and my dad's to blame as well, but the neighbor knew my parents were married and that they have kids. I have a hard time understanding why she would break up a family like that. Even though I have little contact with my dad, I've decided to invite him to our wedding. He is not going to walk me up the aisle or be a big part of the wedding. He is simply a guest. I felt it would be too cruel to not invite him, and I was also scared I would regret not inviting him. His invite said nothing about an AVEC, only his name. He texted me a few days ago asking if his new partner, the neighbor, can come to the wedding with him. I answered nicely and calmly that I only invited him to the wedding since he is my family, and I want him to see my big day. He got upset that I didn't extend the invite to his new partner. He claims that it's going to be awkward if he comes alone since he doesn't know our other guests. I do not want his new partner to our wedding. The woman is a complete stranger to me, so why would I want her there? I also see her as a cold and evil type of person due to her acts in the past. I also want my mom to enjoy my wedding and have fun there, and it's going to be difficult if the neighbor's there. Am I being cruel for inviting all of the other partners of our parents, but not my father's? Not the a-hole. His new partner is also his affair partner, an affair which was at least the proximate cause of the end of his marriage, which caused his children and their mother a lot of pain. Being your neighbor, she likely fully knew what she was doing too. It's fair that you don't want her at the celebration of your relationship and marriage. Not the a-hole. It would be one thing if this was a different partner than the affair partner. People bring +1s to weddings all the time that the bride and groom never met. But it is just disrespectful for your father to think it is appropriate to bring his affair partner, who it seems is still just a girlfriend and not a wife, to the wedding of his daughter from the marriage he destroyed with said partner. You have done your job. You extended the obligatory invitation to him. You have told him that it's a no for the partner. Ball is in his court now to either respect it and come, or not come. I will go ahead and warn you that you need to have some form of security available to you on the day of the wedding, because this just screams that he will suddenly have a change of heart and tell you, okay, and then bring her anyways on the big day. They're for causing issues and making it about them. Word your statement back to him that if your boundary is disrespected, that his invitation will also be revoked and security will escort him out. It's your day, and you are due respect of not having the reason for your family's downfall at the union of your new family. Totally not the a-hole. You have absolutely no reason to invite the homewrecker to your wedding, and your father is a complete tool for even suggesting it. This is your day. You should be surrounded by people you love and enjoy. Don't let him make you feel bad for your boundaries. But also, don't be surprised if he chooses the homewrecker over you again and doesn't come.